this used to just be unusable land, and people were just like, they didn't think of this as like a really safe place. So, but what the garden does is it's opening up the communities, and it's bringing people out of their houses, and then they're talking to each other, and then they're building up some sort of like solidarity with one another, and like that, which is so beautiful to me, because then like it's like
way to wash tomatoes.
People know who's in their community now, and so when they see people who are not from the community, there's a safety net, and there's children going back outside now and climbing trees and like and running around and playing and being happy. You know what I mean? Like that stuff's happening, and they're doing it within the garden, and they can remember like, oh my God, like I grew up in the garden getting my hands dirty, and I think that that's probably like the biggest thing that we can see. A lot of the Bayview was not owned by Bayview people, and a lot of this stuff is just biding its time, and it's under development to build fancy condos. I mean, down the street there's a condo housing project that's in effect right now, and so I'm like, oh, why not look at this long stretch of land? It's not owned by us. It's not owned by the city. So it's like, how do you combat that? Like when there's so much like you have subsidized housing next to really fancy housing, and then there's land there, but that land isn't owned by the subsidized people or the city. It's owned by rich folks. And so how do we like have a garden when we can't get any land because all the land is disproportionately owned? You know, one thing that I'm hearing that I guess is hard is like, yes, let's have a community garden. Okay, let's do it. Let's be on board. Who's gonna do it? You know what I mean? Like trying to figure out who, getting a consensus, people donating how they want to donate so that they don't feel obligated or they feel like the garden's a burden. Making the garden actually like work for you, like being a really fun part of your community it's a hard one. It's not something where you're just like, okay, we'll just buy some seeds, you know. But if the city helps, and if the city puts that forth as being something that's important, then I think the community will respond to that. We're like, look at the city, like it actually cares that we have a garden. Like I guess that means that our community's worth like their consideration.